Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Explicit vs implicit normalization of floating point numbers. Floating point representation is a way to represent real numbers in computers that can handle a wide range of values. However, it is crucial to understand how these representations maintain precision and range. Two concepts often discussed in floating point representation are explicit normalization and implicit normalization. 1. Floating point representation overview. A floating point number is typically represented in the following format. Sign bit indicates whether the number is positive or negative. Exponent determines the scale of the number. Mantissa, or fraction, represents the significant digits of the number. 2. Normalization. Normalization is the process of adjusting the representation of a number so that it fits within the standard format. The goal is to maximize the precision of floating point numbers. Explicit normalization. In explicit normalization, the leading digit of the mantissa is stored explicitly. For binary numbers, this leading digit is always 1, and thus it is stored along with the rest of the mantissa. Example. For a binary number like 101.101, the explicit representation would include the leading 1 in the mantissa. Implicit normalization. In implicit normalization, the leading digit of the mantissa is not stored because it is assumed to be 1. This reduces the amount of memory required to store the floating point number. Example. In the implicit normalization of 101.101, the leading 1 is not stored, and the mantissa is represented as 0.01101, i.e., 101.101 equals 1.01101 times 2 squared. 3. Example code. Here's an example in Python to illustrate the difference between explicit and implicit normalization. Explanation of code. Explicit _normalization. This function normalizes a given number explicitly by ensuring that the leading 1 is part of the mantissa. Implicit _normalization. This function normalizes the same number but omits the leading 1, assuming it is always there. Conclusion. Normalization of floating point numbers is crucial for ensuring accuracy and efficiency in numerical computations. Understanding the difference between explicit and implicit normalization helps programmers choose the right representation based on the requirements of their applications. In practice, most programming languages and systems use implicit normalization to save space and improve performance while providing the necessary precision for floating point arithmetic.